rust holes in the ceiling that we had been working on for most of the summer. We're now into September. The large one there was installed by the yard welders, but they never finished it, so here I am finishing up the line. That was probably the largest plate that got put in. Here I am working on cutting this piece out. I'd use one of the magnets there and then run this was my inexpensive plasma cutter that you had to keep in contact. And so you'd burn through heads, and there I was replacing a head. But it actually did a good job of cutting. Certainly a good tool for do-it-yourself type usage, but not production work, so I would run through its duty cycle. But when it was working, it worked well. And now I'm putting the angles on the plate, cleaning the steel up from the plasma cutting it, and then of course getting the piece sized down to what needs to go in there. Again, the magnets that I would use for guiding, making a nice straight line, I would also use to hold the piece, which we'll see here in a moment as I again put a little bit of a bevel on the piece and get ready to put it back in, cleaning the metal up so I can get a good weld on it. Still doesn't fit, so a little more trimming. And this is obviously sped up. Wish it would go this fast when you're actually out there in the heat. So yeah, there are those magnets I was talking about. A little bit more adjustment. This is a lot of, at least for me, this was a lot of what welding was doing all that grinding and getting it down to the size it needed to be so it would fit in there nicely, and you could put new steel in between the two pieces. And I'm swapping out. I have a magnetic grounding point over there and just swap the leads back and forth. And that's some anti-stick spray that I was using. This is the flux core material, and it would create quite a number of little beads, and the anti-stick stuff actually worked really well, keeping the beads from sticking into the paint. Camera that's being used here is a really cheap GoPro knockoff, so it did not like the bright light and would freak out like that. But it was okay until you moved it. So we eventually started doing some GoPros at the first of the year, just a few months away. The slot I'm working on right now is a little wide, so I had to run 2 or 3 beads down basically till it came all the way over. You know, obviously I could have gone and cut a new plate out and made it exact, but I'm doing the same thing over here. I think I have to run 2 beads on this one. Sometimes you could, if you were really good with the gun, you could sit there and bridge them, but it was usually easier to just run 2 or 3 beads like I've done here, and then come back, and there's the final bead to close that guy up. Yeah. And now I think this I can do in 1 bead because it was having to fit, so it was nice and narrow. So there's a plate all in. And then here we are, you can see the green, which is we're patching little spots. There's Jeannie working on the patching. You can see all the patches I've already put in because they're exposed, have rusted and whatnot. But I think at this point the roof was dried in now. We actually had filled all the spots with new plate and everything. And so now I still see 3 or 4 holes there. Yeah, so we've got 3 or 4 of them to do on the side. So this side was all done. Well, and then there we got paint on, so at some point came in and finished up the, well, I can see a few more dirty spots over there in the boat area. And there we finally get some paint on the boat area, and you get a good shot of the mask laying down. And then we moved our attention to the top deck. Luckily, there weren't too many welding spots that needed to be attached up here or attacked up here. It was mainly just rust and a little bit of fairing work. Around the edges, all the spots, you can see the little wedges or tangs or whatever you want to call them. Some of them had rusted through, so we had to work on those. And there's where we done some fairing work on some of the holes to get it smooth and fill it in. There's Jeannie up there doing some painting. Yeah, there we got the gray primer on. And the white, that was probably, yeah, I don't think that's primer at that point, that's probably finish coat. But yeah, there was the first coats of many. Now here's on the side, for the paravane supports, you had rust down there. Yeah, you see I had to cut that whole piece out there and then replace it with new metal. And then also there were several other spots you saw just a moment ago had quite a few gaping holes. And then to make it look nice and smooth and everything, we went ahead and faired it. The yard had been working on slowly sanding all the old paint off and getting it ready for somewhat complete paint. They ran out of paint. We're testing some thermals. Bought a couple pieces of insulation and different things. Was not impressed really with any of them, so we didn't end up using them. We just went the spray foam route. And here we're down in the equipment room, tearing it out. You can see there was quite a bit of surface rust, nothing really major. Later.